Now, here's the final question that you must ask. This one is super important. What's up? Welcome back to my channel, the best place for hardworking and ambitious millennial professionals who feel stuck in their careers to find their dream careers. In my previous videos, I explained what informational interviews for career exploration are and how to set one up and its do's and don'ts. In this video, I'm going to spill the beans on what are the best informational interview questions that you must ask. Now, to be clear, this is about career exploration and not networking using informational interviews in hopes of landing a job. The goal of this video is information to navigate a career change, not to find a job. Make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell to receive regular updates on all things related to career change. Also, join my Facebook group called Career Change Advice, where you can chat with like-minded people who are interested in making their careers work for them and not the other way around. Hi, I'm Dr. John Tam. I have a PhD in sociology from Oxford, and I'm passionate about helping millennial professionals find their dream careers through gaining clarity and building soft skills. Before I give you the questions, let's establish a founding principle. People love talking about themselves. They benefit from it. They enjoy it. Research shows that talking about oneself actually feels better than eating pizza. So as you guide them down memory lane, think of them talking to you about themselves as though you're feeding them pizza, right? And it actually makes them feel good. So you're not wasting their time. They're getting benefits out of this as well because they gain clarity about their own career. And be sure to stick around till the end because I'm going to give you a question that is going to 10x your reach on informational interviews, and it's the most powerful question out there to help you learn more about your career, build a strong network, and actually help you get into that job in the future. Having said that, without further ado, here are the best informational interviewing questions for career exploration you must ask. So I'm gonna break it down like this. I'm gonna split these questions into several categories of questions. At the very end, I'll give you a complete list of questions that you can tailor accordingly. But of course, if you don't watch the stuff before, you don't really know how to tailor the end stuff. And that's why you need to watch the first few sections in order to know how to tailor the informational interview questions that you need to ask. And if you don't know what type of person you should be asking or what type of job you're targeting and so on, definitely check out my previous video where I talk about setting up an informational interview. So first off, you need to ask them what a typical week is like. Don't ask them about a typical day because a typical day would change and fluctuate. Think about your own work experience, right? Every day is different. But when you think about a week, there's more of a rhythm to that. And what you want to find is what's the rhythm? What's the work life like there on a rhythmic basis? The next thing you want to ask is, what are some of the common challenges and decisions that they need to make? For example, what are the things they have to struggle with on a daily basis? People are hired to solve problems, and regardless of a job, you are always doing something and contributing to solving a problem. So what are the common challenges? What are the decisions that they need to make? And then the third thing you need to ask is, what are the necessary qualities to address these challenges or make these decisions? What are some of the hard and soft skills that you need? And if you don't know what hard or soft skills are, check out the video I'll put in the cards above that compares hard and soft skills. Another thing you need to know is, what are the personal qualities that they're looking for? And that is in terms of personality and soft skills. And I have a personality test, which I'll put in the descriptions below, that talks about personality, career, using the big 5 personality traits, which is the gold standard in academia. And another aspect of personality is, what are the soft skills that you have to handle personality issues? So for example, if you are highly agreeable, do you know how to say no? And it's about these scripts that you pre-program into your brain on how to set boundaries. Another example is, if you are introverted, do you have systems in place that will teach you how to be extroverted, or ways to become extroverted when you are not exactly a natural at it? And a good example of this is actually Bill Gates. Bill Gates is totally an introvert, but growing up, his mom consistently put him in situations to be extroverted, to socialize with people so that he is not socially awkward. And look where it's taken him now, right? So what are the soft skills that you have to balance that personality? And if you want to learn more about the relationship between personality and soft skills, check out the video about soft skills development that I'll put in the cards above. The third quality that people are looking for is, what's the experience? What type of experience would carry over best into that position? And once again, it's about transferable skills, whether it's hard skills or soft skills, that can be transferred to that position. Another thing that you want to ask them is, what are the types of accomplishments that are highly valued in that line of work? Is it having a stellar portfolio? Is it having stellar project experience? Is it having sales numbers? Is it having, what is considered to be a good quality, so that you can look at your own portfolio and see what you can play up or what you should play down. And another thing is, if you want to get into that industry, if you want to break into that industry, what can you do to get yourself off on the right foot? Also, the sixth and final thing you should ask is, what are some of the related fields? What else is out there that's similar to what they're doing that you can explore? Because at the end of the day, we don't know what we don't know. And one of the things that would be super helpful is for them to tell you, hey, by the way, this other field does something that's similar to what I do, and based on what you've told me, right, and you would have done an introduction briefly explaining what you do and your background, I think this may be a better fit for you. And then they'll tell you straight up, and then you can consider it, right? And these are all things that you need to weigh and figure out as you talk to that individual to learn more about that position. So the first category is learning about the position of that specific industry, of that specific career path, of that specific job. Now, the next thing you want to ask is about the individual. So ask them about why they chose the field. Why did they choose that line of work? Ask them about the career path. What took them to where they are today? What are some of the key decisions that they made? Or what are some of the things that they've noticed that's happening in the field that make them decide that this is the best choice for them? Their current career path is the best choice for them. And you also want to ask them what are the pros and cons of their current workplace for them. Because everyone's different in terms of their life stage, in terms of what they're looking for in their life. How does it match what they want to accomplish in life? How does it not match what they want to accomplish? And so, for example, one of the clients that I worked with in her 20s, she clocked 80-hour weeks doing design work. And that's totally fine for her because she got to the Oscars of design. But what happened afterwards is that, hey, life's getting busy. I want to start a family. I want to spend more time with people I care about. And based on that, what was previously a job that's fulfilling and life-changing and is totally, living her dream, became one that's kind of like an energy sucker. It's no longer aligned with her priorities. So by asking them about the pros and cons, you get to also think about, hey, how about my life? How about what type of people, what type of life stage is this type of job most suitable for? And this is typical for both men and women. And remember, I'm saying typical, meaning it's, there are always exceptions to anything that's typical, right? When men and women, they're in their 20s, they want to start out by diving in, learning the career, learning that line of work. But as they move on, at each stage, their priorities change. In their 30s, most people are looking into starting their families or doing other things other than just work. And for people in their 40s, it's about navigating midlife triggers, right? Notice I'm not saying midlife crisis because it doesn't always have to be a crisis. It's about triggers. And I talk a lot about this in my video, which I'll put in the cards above, where I talk about midlife triggers in terms of navigating your careers in your 40s. I also have stuff about 30s and 20s, and I guess I'll put it all on the playlist above. And so you can pick and choose whatever is a fit for your age. But the bottom line is you need to consider what that line of work is and what's the impact on your lifestyle or the lifestyle that you want to pursue. So what questions can you think of so far? Let me know in the comments below. The third thing you can talk about is about industry trends, and you can ask questions about changes. When I talk about changes, I mean, hey, what's happened in the past? What's the historical things that have happened that shaped the industry to be what it is right now? What are some recent changes that are currently happening that's changed the face of the market? And pretty much one very obvious one that applies to pretty much all industries right now is COVID-19. It's probably reshaped the world of work as we know it. And it's really ushered in the world of remote work much earlier than anticipated. And the third change that you want to ask is, what are some of the anticipated things that's going to happen? And one of these you can see moving along is 5G. How is 5G going to change everything? How about automation, AI, robotics? How are these going to impact the future of work? And I dive into this in depth with Dr. Alistair Johnson from MIT, and he's going to University of Toronto now. And I'll put that interview in the cards above because it's a very deep interview, and I think it's going to be very helpful for everyone to listen to figure out how is AI, automation, and robotics going to affect the future of work. And of course, there's 5G as well, right? You can also check out my other video where I talk about soft skills trends, which I'll also put in the cards above because once again, how the hard skills change is going to impact how the soft skills change as well. The other thing you want to ask about the industry is, who are the thought leaders to follow and read about? And that's super helpful because once you find out who they are, you can simply just hop onto LinkedIn and start following them. And when you follow them, you get all the updated news. You see what are the discussions that's going on, who are the influencers in the market, and you get to get into the forefront of the conversation. And by doing that, you get to navigate what's going on in that job market, and you know how to position yourself and your career accordingly. And on a related note, you can also ask for recommended readings, right? Not only do you need to know who are the movers and pushers in the market, you also need to know what are the knowledge anchors in that industry that you must read about in order to position yourself accordingly. And therefore, asking this in an informational interview would be super helpful for you to navigate how to get into that industry. Okay, so you've learned the 3 categories of questions. Now, here's a list of questions that I've curated for you that you can tailor for yourself. And you'll only need to ask about half of them, because if you want to keep to that 20-minute goal that I've talked about in my previous video, you pretty much need to keep that interview short, brief, and let them talk about themselves. Some people love talking about themselves, and you may only get like 2 or 3 questions in. Other people who are more terse and more succinct in how they speak will probably be able to move by like 5 or 6 of them. The point of this list is so that when you interview 5, 10, or even up to 20 people about this industry while you're doing your career exploration, what you can do is you can pick and choose to fill in those blank spots. And so you definitely need to spread these questions across several interviews. Don't jam them all on the same thing because you only have 20 minutes. And I'm just gonna paste these questions onto the screen right now, and so you can take a screenshot of it, all right? So question number 1, how did you get into this line of work? Question number 2, what's the favorite parts of your work? What makes it enjoyable? What makes it less enjoyable? Question number 3, what's a typical work week like? Question number 4, how does your current employer help you succeed? And this is important because you want an insider look of that position. Question number 5, how did you progress to where you are in your current career? And the follow-up question for that is, how much time did each stage take? Question number 6, if you could go back in time, what would you do differently? Question number 7, where do you want to take your career in the next 2 years? Question number 8, how will your current employer help you achieve your goals? Question number 9, what advice would you give someone looking to get hired by a company like the one you work for? Remember, don't ask for the company that they're currently working for. You want to ask the question, what is a company like the one you're working for? Because remember, this is career exploration. And the last question is the one that you must ask. It's super important and it's super powerful. Is there someone you admire in the company that you might be willing to introduce me to for an informational interview about their success? The reason why you specify it's someone they admire is because if they look up to someone, they will know off the top of their head who that person is, and it's also likely that their connection will be much warmer, and therefore they're much more willing to take your informational interview if you are referred to them. And by doing that, asking this for every informational interview that you go on, you pretty much can 5x or 10x the amount of contacts that you have within one company. So think about this, in the future, if you actually do decide to apply for that company, you can reach out to 5 or 10 people in that company who have done an informational interview with you. When a recruiter or the hiring manager looks at your LinkedIn profile and see that, hey, wait, this person has like 5 or 10 contacts within our company, then they might even reach out to you like, hey, have you talked to this person? What are your thoughts on them? And if you're a solid candidate, having 5 to 10 contacts in a company pretty much greatly increases your chances of getting in. And so therefore, be sure to ask that last question, because that last question will get you more informational interviews, and that ball will just keep on rolling and keep spiraling until you get more, right? So in my previous video, I told you the acceptance rate is only about 10%, and you only need a handful of people who will agree to take that informational interview to really be able to get this ball rolling. And that's why this last question is super powerful. Now, if you're doing career exploration, it's likely that you are looking for a career change, and the very first step of doing that is to actually achieve career clarity. And so I would highly recommend you to check out my free training, which I'll put in the details below, called Stop Feeling Stuck, Find Your Dream Career. And in there, I offer my complete career clarity strategy for you to learn to figure out and navigate this career change. I also highly recommend you to download my guide on how to find your ideal career. And in that guide, I offer step-by-step advice and resources on how to navigate this change. You can also take a free, quick, and accurate career personality test that I mentioned previously, and it's going to be in the descriptions below. And make sure to join my Facebook group, Career Change Advice, to be in a community of people who are interested in making their careers work for them and not the other way around. So now that you know the questions, how about actually executing the interview? And in my next video, I'm going to cover the common mistakes that people make in informational interviews. So make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell for updates when it comes out. Also, leave a comment below and let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to give this video a like and share it with your network if you found this to be valuable. Take care.